to another video of Dead by Daylight. My name is Cubeproductions. Today we're talking about Score Merchant, not as always. Looking at the Score Merchant design preview, part 2 that Dead by Daylight community, well, the devs have basically put out there to showcase to us. So actually, I've already read this before, but I'm going to, of course, reread it for all y'all so I can share my thoughts on what I do and don't like about it. Most of it is all good and positive, so I am actually kind of excited to showcase it. Before we start, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And I read every single comment, and I like to hear what y'all have to say about this preview. And also make sure you join the Discord server. Link will be in the description where you can chat with me and everyone else in the community and have a great time. So, of course, you can read this at your own leisure, and of course, you can pause it whenever you want to. But basically, the main thing they want to do is they want to focus on making Scar Merchant more of a high tech hunter, modern slasher, if you will, and basically using her tools of torment at her disposal, and basically using her drones to be able to actually catch survivors, see where they are, and down them. That is the main thing they're trying to focus on. So, to do this, they have tried to do many things, but first, they have changed a few things from the last preview. And in case you haven't seen the last preview, it is literally on my channel. Look at my video. You can definitely see my opinion on those things. But first, let's talk about all stuff they changed. First things first, they remove the killer aura reveal when you're hacking a drone. This is 100% a major thing because, like I said in the last video while I was talking about the first preview, it made no sense to me that some reason why a Score Merchant gets penalized that a survivor decides to disable their drone. It doesn't make any sense. And then the penalty for disabling the drone was that now her aura is revealed, which I don't really know why that's even thought of. It makes no sense. But that's what they try to do. Then they have the global detection power to detect survivors who are running or walking, keeping this consistent with how her drones normally detect survivors. While on paper this is fine because of the fact that it's literally just how her drones work. But instead it's a giant AoE radar that goes across the entire map. The reason why this is terrible is that I've been watching some other people talk about their opinions on this, and basically this is literally awful against really good survivors and literally broken against bad survivors. Bad survivors will get their location revealed to you, and you can see them on the radar, and you know exactly where they are, height, and everything. But then good survivors will just stand still, and then basically you get nothing from this. So I don't know how exactly they should change this yet to make this better, but of course I'll share my thoughts on everything that should be changed and what I do and don't like at the end. I mainly just want to talk about what they're going to be doing, and then I'll talk about what I think should be changed at the end of the video. That way y'all understand like a quick little rundown what's happening. Next, stealth drones. Scan lines are now more visible. This, I don't really quite understand why they're doing this because the whole point of the last one was to make it so that way they weren't as visible. That's why they're called stealth drones, but they won't extend entirely down to the ground, making it so that survivors understand that, wait a minute, I can crash this. So it's not really a big deal. It doesn't really matter that much, to be completely honest, because you're mainly only going to be using your drones for something else in particular that I'll explain in a minute. Skull Merchant now has two different types of drones. She has 5 deployable stealth drones and 1 mini drone that follows her around. The stealth drones basically act like normal drones. You place them around the map, and then you can control them. At least if I'm reading this correctly, it looks like you can place them around the map like usual, but you can basically control them and then move them again in different locations. You can also do just like how she talked about in the last preview, where basically she's allowed to use her drones and basically make her drones flying bombs and literally fly them at survivors. And the survivor gets hit by a drone, they become injured and get a claw trap. But if a survivor is already injured, they don't go down. That is a change that I will talk about again at the end of the video where I explain what I like and don't like about it. Instead, what happens is, so you're basically you deploy your self drones and you can control your self drones, and then you can throw your self drones at survivors to injure them and claw trap them. Then, when a survivor's claw traps, what's her name? Skull Merchant has to go out of her way to use a little mini drone, which they're calling the drone buddy, and basically the drone buddy will shoot out EMPs. And if the EMP dart hits a survivor who is claw trapped, they will go down. Very simple to understand. And if a survivor is now claw trapped and you try and shoot them with an EMP, it will do nothing, which is fine. But I'll explain what I think they should change at the end of the video. And lastly, they just basically made it so that way survivors can get rid of claw traps by doing a held interaction. Kind of like how basically when you are sick by the plague, you go to a fountain and you just hold down the button and you drink the fountain. No skill checks involved, nothing. Just you just hold down the button and it goes away. I will explain why I don't like that in the end, but that's what they're trying to do. And in all these changes are actually fine. Like I just said multiple times, I have something that I would like them to do differently, but it's because I have something I want to do differently does not mean what they're trying to do or what they're doing is bad. It's literally just like there's ways it can be improved for the better. And I feel like what I think they should do will improve it. Also, what a lot of people, one person in particular inside the Discord server, link in the description, said was that they wanted to make it so that when Survivor has to do the Claw Trap, when they want to get rid of the Claw Trap, they have to do the Claw Trap mini game instead, which I think is a great idea. And I have few more ideas. Let's talk about more what they want to do in the future by looking at deploy and detect. In this section, they're basically going to explain how you would use this power now. And basically, what they're saying is first you will put your drones down like usual, and then you'll begin by deploying a self drone and then piloting a self drone to a high traffic loop or area that's where it might be at. And then you can either leave it there or you can ram it into a survivor and try and hit them. Also, you can use your global detection power, though basically a red light, green light from the last preview. And if a survivor is moving, you can see where they are, and basically use your drone to be able to find the location of survivors like tracking. Both the global detection power and your passive stealth drones, they definitely see survivors differently, so make sure you understand. Then we have tag and track. Switching focus back to the idling sub drones, you can see the survivors who are detected running away and making use of the sub drones increase movement speed and give them chase. Basically, as a result, you can use your sub drones that you have around the map or have moved and use them to basically ram, thwack in the survivors, injuring them and placing a cloud trap on them. And basically, they can't be used to down survivors, but they can be used for cloud trapping them with less her use her EMP dart to basically automatically down them as long as she can aim. If a survivor is injured and has a cloud trap on them, she can literally use her EMP dart down them, and as a result, make it so that way she has the ability to actually have a range power, which is kind of cool, to be completely honest. After a little charge time, she shoots the EMP dart. The EMP dart has a small AoE, so that makes it seem like anybody who gets hit by it, who also is claw trapped, can be injured. But technically, she can injure more than one person at a time, and that's basically a really cool idea. And then we have the survivor perspective, where basically they're trying to explain like what the survivor would have to do to get rid of this. Basically, disable drones and crouch under drone scan lines, don't move when she uses red light, green light power, and it's basically that simple. Juke from a flying bomb drone, juke the EMP dart. That's basically all it is. It's basically dodge. That's how survivors deal with it. Dodge and hack the drones. Also, one key note to decide to talk about this is when you hack a drone now, instead of it staying in the same spot, it actually goes back to Scrub Merge, which I'm fine with that. That allows Scrub Merchant to replace the drone and be able to move it wherever she wants instead of having to wait for it to come back on its own and then having to micromanage where your drones are and different things like that. Also, it makes that way survivors can't just keep hacking drones constantly and they actually have a chance to play the game. So I'm fine with this. And then last, they're showing how you remove your claw traps, and everything seems to be perfectly fine by that, to be completely honest. But no, I'll of course relook at all this stuff again. I'll talk to you what I think they should change, and let's talk about what I think should be changed first. Okay, so first, before I talk about what should be changed, I wanted to basically say the reason why I kind of skimmed through a lot of that stuff at the end was because of the fact that, of course, if you need to, you can just pause the video and see exactly what I'm talking about. But there's not really much to really say. There's a lot to say, but I'm gonna reiterate it in this section where I want to give my opinion on what I think is good or bad. But I just want to make sure y'all understood the gist of it. Basically, the gist of it is Storm Merchant puts down her drones. She has 5 self drones. She has the ability, it looks like, to look at any of her drones and move them from point A to point B. She can then also use her self drones as basically rockets and literally throw them at survivors and injure them. If a survivor gets injured, they get claw trapped. If a survivor is already injured, they don't get down. Then she can use her mini buddy to basically shoot EMP darts at survivors who are claw trapped and basically down them. And it's really, really effective. And it's very simple to understand power. And then, of course, she has the red light, green light power, which you can detect where survivors are. So let's talk about the changes. Being able to not see the killer's aura when the drone is hacked. Perfectly fine. Great. The global detection power, like I said, they gotta figure out this is fine, but it needs to be changed because they gotta figure out how to make this like more balanced. Would it be too strong for Squad Merchant to see exactly where survivors are when they're on gens? Yes. Because of the fact that it can become a 3 gen Squad Merchant issue again. And we don't want that to happen. But also what's the point of the stupid red light green light thing if survivors can just stand still to counter it? They're gonna probably have like add-ons or something special to make it so that way it can't be countered in some situations, knowing behavior, but it's still just kind of a problem that you can literally just stand still and say no to the power. So I do believe they should find a way to change just to make it kind of better. What I would do is this is what I would do. If a survivor, like I said in my last rework video, if a survivor has a cloud trap on them and then you use the global detection power, all cloud trap survivors are automatically revealed, and you get haste based on how many were revealed, making it so that way you can use it in chase, and also make it so that way you can maybe see where survivors are across the map. Very simple to understand. I know people are gonna be like, of course, adding haste, but the problem is you need to understand that some of these changes make it seem like Storm Merchant might actually be really, really weak if a lot of these changes go through, which is the reason why I want to give my opinion on them and explain to you what I would do differently. So that's the first thing I would do. Basically, make it so that way if a survivor is Cloud Trap, they literally can't dodge it, and as a result, you get a speed buff if you use it. And I feel like the cooldown of this global detection power should be extremely low, like 20 seconds, because the fact that you can stand still and dodge it each time means that all survivors have to do is not do any actions for 20 seconds or stop what they're doing for 20 seconds, and then yeah. So I feel like 30 seconds, 20 seconds is fair, in my opinion. Okay. Next thing we're talking about will be the stealth drone lines. That's perfectly fine. Even though I did say like I don't like the fact that they're called stealth drones, but they kind of made it so that way the drones are even easier to see. It doesn't make a lot of sense. I agree, but the reason why I'm fine with it is because of the fact that yes, it doesn't make a lot much sense that stealth drones have not stealthy lines. It won't really matter considering how you're only really using the drones now to just as rockets. Like you're not really using them. You're using them to be able to see where survivors are if they get hit by the lines. But because survivors can just disable the drones just as easily as they already could disable the drones, it doesn't really matter to be honest if they can see the scan lines or not. It doesn't really matter. And because it's gonna be two scan lines anyway, maybe the chance the survivor will get hit by a drone, but the chance of that happening is like so low, it's awful. Now, what I would do with the stealth drones, in my opinion, is this. So, behavior, please listen. What I would do is this. You can move your drones, of course, any direction you want. But the way it works is the exact same way how there's that yellow circle around on the ground showing survivors the basically radius of the drone detecting them at. What I think should happen is if a drone is being piloted by a score merchant and then Score Merchant uses her global detection power, any survivors that are inside of a drone's radius should automatically get revealed on the radar, no matter what. I think that's fair. And the reason why I think that's fair is because of the fact that maps are big, Score Merchant's gonna have to move the drones all the place anyway, and also survivors can literally hack a drone the second it gets placed. And also, drones go back to Score Merchant instead of staying on the battlefield, staying on the map. So, because of this reason, I really think that that's a perfectly fine thing you should do. If a survivor is moving across the entire map and they're not in the drone radius, okay, they get detected by the global power. But if they stop moving, they don't. But if a survivor is inside of a drone's radius, no matter what, they get detected by the drone. And again, you can hear a drone, you can see the drone scan lines, and also you can see the yellow line on the ground, unless they got rid of that. As a result, I think it's fine. That's what they should do. And then they can keep the bad global detection power the way it is, and I think that's fine. Skull Merchant has two different drones. That's perfectly fine. I'm fine with this. Drone Buddy actually seems like a really cool idea, and I don't hate it. It just depends on how long it takes to actually fire the EMP dart, and it also depends on how easy it is to land it, and if you get slowed down at all or a lot when you fire it. Self drones functioned previously, but drone propulsion only injures, not downs. This is the start of the problems that I have with this thing. Even though I like it, and I've already talked about how I think behavior did a really, really good job. This is the part that kind of a little confuses me because I need y'all to understand from a score merchant killer perspective and also from a survivor perspective. Yes, these drones, if incorrectly, yes, if score merchant does use her self drone, travel across the map and hit a survivor, it will injure them and give them a cloud trap. Yes, that's perfectly fine. Skill issue. Not skill issue. Skill expression show. The issue I have with this is the fact that if a survivor's injured, what do? Well, you do what the game says, well, what their preview says. You use Drum Buddy to hit them with a EMP dart and down them. Seems simple at first, But the issue I have is the fact that they make it seem as if getting rid of a claw trap is the easiest thing on the planet and doesn't even have a cooldown. So if that's the case, how does Score Merchant down survivors who aren't claw trapped but also are injured? She can't use her drum propulsion to down survivors. The game doesn't say, well, this preview doesn't say that if a survivor is already injured but don't have a claw trap, that when they use drum propulsion again, they will get claw trap. So that's that. And it doesn't say that the claw trap lasts for a certain amount of time and then the survivors can do an interaction to get rid of the claw trap. It says survivors can do an interaction to get rid of the claw traps. So basically, what this all this means in my head is I'm thinking to myself, if a survivor is injured, how does Skull Merchant down them? She has to N1 them, which is bad because that's basically she just becomes an N1 killer at this point. And there's a few ways to fix this. Like for example, they could just make it so that way that drum propulsion actually does down survivors, which in my opinion is perfectly fine. And let me explain why. The reason why it's fine is because when Storm Merchant uses drum propulsion and hits the survivor with a clock, well, hits the survivor, what happens to the survivor? Well, the drone explodes, so it goes away. It goes back to her. The survivor gets injured and clock trapped, and also the survivor, basically their location shown to you on the radar. But the problem is, like I said before, the drone's destroyed, so it's not like they have the ability to just. It's not like they have the ability to just what's it called? Run away. I mean, not run away. Uh, get hit immediately afterwards. The drone's gone. So, in my opinion, the drone propulsion should also be able to down you. That's how I think it should work. And the reason why, like I said before, I think this is because of the fact that if they can't down, then there's nothing Stormmerger can do against injured survivors except in one, which is really bad. So I think that it should do that. And I don't again think it's gonna be that strong because the drones get destroyed once they hit a survivor or if they don't hit a survivor. So in my opinion, it's fine. I think they should let survivors get down by it. It would not be an issue. Um, Next thing, when a survivor's cloud trap, they can do a hell interaction to get rid of it. Like I said in the Discord server, a viewer of mine suggested that instead they should not really instead, but he said he feels bad or feels like they missed an opportunity to use the drone mini game with the arrows, and I feel like that's a good idea. Instead of doing a hell interaction, the way it works is survivors have to do the drone mini game in order to actually get rid of the cloud trap. And the reason why I think that's fair is because of the fact that it's actually might even be faster than the actual hell cloud trap interaction thing they have to do, and also show skill expression from the survivors. Also, no survivors have ever complained about the drone minigame, so I don't think it's really a big deal. One thing I will say though is I feel like from the way, like I said before, I'm just reading it from what it says. I don't know for sure if this is how exactly behavior wanted to word it or exactly how behavior thinks it, but from the way it looks like you can get a claw trap on you, and then you can just instantly get rid of it at any time as long as you do the hell interaction. Which means if Scrum Merchant across the map, and then Scrum Merchant decides to use a drone, and she decided she moved across the entire map, she can then be like, "Lol, I'm gonna just fly at somebody." She hits them, they get claw trapped, and then they're nowhere near the killer, so they just hit the claw trap off of them. And I feel like that's really bad. So I think what they should do is they should make it so that way, just like how it is on live, if you get claw trapped, the claw trap lasts for 45 seconds. And then you can do the drum in the game to remove it if you want to. I don't know why you want to keep it, but like that's I think how it should work. There shouldn't be just oh it stays on you forever, because I feel like that makes no sense. I mean, sorry, I meant to say I feel like it shouldn't just be able to get rid of easily because I feel like that makes no sense. So because of that reason, I feel like cloud traps last at least 45 seconds, maybe at least 30 seconds, 45 seconds. But because it's 45 seconds on live, I feel like 45 seconds would be really good. So that's the reason why I think they should do that, and I feel like that's a really big change. They need to make it so that way drum propulsion can down, and to make it so that way cloud traps last at least 30 seconds. That way Scrum Merchant can actually hit them with the EMP dart and down them. Lastly, the EMP dart does not hurt survivors if they are affected. Well, it does not hurt survivors if they don't have a claw trap. That's perfectly fine in my opinion, as long as um a survivor, what's it called? As long as drum propulsion can actually do something, like can actually down survivors, then I think that's fine. It is kind of weird though to me how she has this flying drone with her, but the drone doesn't do anything unless they're injured. Well, unless they're claw trapped. So I guess, but I think it's fine. Like maybe I would say like maybe the EMP thing, just like no, it's fine. I think it's perfectly fine if they just make it so that way the EMP dart doesn't do a single thing to survivors. But I think it's only good if the drum proportion can down and claw traps last for at least 30 seconds. Okay, that's all my thoughts on the Skull Merchant preview part two. Like I said before at the beginning, I think actually this is a really, really, really good preview, and I think honestly, if they just do the changes that I want them to do, and of course any other changes y'all suggest in the comments, if they just do the changes that I think they should do that I already mentioned, literally Skull Merchant would be perfect, and I would not be mad. Just make it so that it's very simple to understand. Drone proportion can down survivors because if the drone's gonna get destroyed on hit, on contact with a survivor, or on contact with a wall, then that means survivors won't be easily down. So because of that reason, I feel like it should be fine. If drone proportion can down them. This also gives Skull Merchant two different ways to down survivors. She can use her drone from a distance. She can use her drone, or if she's skilled enough, she can use her drone propulsion to down survivors across the map, like how she's the trap killer already. If she's not skilled enough, the drone gets destroyed. So there's a risk and the reward. If the survivor is not near any drones, or Stormbird doesn't even feel like using her drones that way. Instead, she can use her EMP dart and aim that. Both of them show skill expression, so I feel like they're both fine. And then also, uh, they should make it so that cloud traps last for at least 30 seconds when they are first applied, well, when they're applied on a survivor. The reason why I think this is because of the fact that it just makes no sense to me that it looks like from reading this, the cloud trap can be removed so easily and at any time. So as a result, Scrum Merchant might not have no power. And again, the drone, well, the red light, green light power. If a survivor is already in the drone radius, it should automatically show them. And if a survivor is cloud trapped, it should automatically show them on the radar. Very simple. They should not be able to dodge that. And the reason why I think that is because that way it works against bad and good survivors, but also it rewards Scrum Merchant for having good drone placement, and also it incentivizes survivors to actually disable drones. And again, because drones, when they're disabled and when drones get used as propulsion and hit a wall, they automatically go back to Skull Merchant. It seems perfectly fine to me, but that's just how I feel about it. Obviously, I could be completely wrong, and what I'm thinking is just stupid and wrong, but I do feel like I am correct on my assumptions, and I think it's fine. Again, do I want Skull Merchant to be a drone propulsion based killer? Not really. But to be honest, Behavior honestly gave a really good preview, and they actually understand what it looks like we want. And also, it helps both sides. It seems really fun to play as. It doesn't seem like no one to play against. Yes, it might seem a little convoluted at the beginning, how much stuff she has, but honestly, I feel like survivors will get used to it and they'll figure it out. But anyway, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Of course, make sure you leave any comments you think about this preview, because of course all your input is greatly appreciated. Make sure you join the Discord server. Link will be in the description. And I will see y'all in the next video. Have a nice day. Actually, we're not done with the video yet because I have one more thing to say. So this is post-editing Cubeproductions. So basically I exported this video and I was about to upload it to y'all, well for y'all. But then I was watching another person comment and react to these changes, and they said something that was really important that I didn't even think about because I just didn't even think about it. They basically were talking about how they actually like the idea or understand and they like the fact that the drones cannot down survivors directly. And at first I was like, why? But then they explained their reasoning and it made sense actually. The fact that Skull Merchant could basically put down 87 drones and move them all down or move them near all the down survivors and basically become the best slugger in the game. And that would be definitely broken. Because if you can just down survivors with your power over and over again without any counterplay, that would be kind of broken. So I can definitely understand why they want that to be changed. So when I look back at it, they probably shouldn't make it so that way the drones can down people instantly. But the problem that still occurs is how do you have a killer? Like the problem with this basically means that if they decide to make it so the drones can't down people, they had to at least make it so that way when you hit a survivor with a drone, the claw traps last for 45 seconds. Because if that doesn't last for a long time, that would mean that they can get rid of the claw trap really easily. You can't down survivors who are already injured with your power. You're just an M1 killer after you injure them. Basically, you get their first hit pretty easily, or easier, or consistently, but you can't get the second hit very easily. And I feel like that could be a problem. But we'll just see what happens when they keep making more changes to Squad Merchant. And I just want y'all leave your comments and let me know what you think about this, because I didn't think about that until after I edited this video. So yes. Anyway, have a nice day.